So to start out, let's actually come to our backs and grab a blanket. Let's just do a little thoracic opening too. I think that'll feel nice. So roll the blanket up. You can roll up your mat if you don't have a blanket nearby. And then that will come perpendicular to your mat, and then we're just gonna lay over this. So if you're tighter in the thoracic, and especially on a Saturday morning, that can be the case. Make your roll up a little thinner, and you might have to kind of play with this a little bit. So we're gonna lay over this, and it's gonna hit kind of like upper back where it meets the mid back. So bottom of the bra strap, kind of mid shoulder blades, or lower shoulder blades. And then we want the shoulders to be resting on the opposite side of this roll up. Cactus arms usually feel pretty good. You could take your arms out wide. They could reach overhead. Just play around and see where you feel most comfortable. And then a couple options with legs. So extending the legs might feel nice for some of us, especially in this configuration. It can introduce a little tugging to the lower back. So if that's happening, I would just recommend bending knees, taking feet wide, and then just allowing knees to knock in towards each other. And then just start to dip into your breath. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Starting to find that rhythm of your Ujjayi breath. And if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. So you start to draw inward, you start to pay attention to your body, you start to pay attention to your breath. Your attention will wander from time to time. You'll be distracted by sounds happening around you. Definitely will get distracted by the chatter happening inside your head. So this is all normal. When you become aware of the fact that you've time traveled a little bit, that you've attached to something, just let it go. Return to your breath. And so just letting the breath be the most important thing. And you might even bring kind of your mind's eye to your chest, to your lungs, to your rib cage. Really focus on the expansion that happens as you inhale. It's very three-dimensional. And then just notice how everything contracts inward as you exhale. You could even picture your diaphragm here. So it's that muscle at the bottom of the ribs. As you inhale, it releases down. So it opens up, it's like a bellows, and then as you exhale, it presses the air back out. Another moment here, just soaking up the quiet, setting the tone for the next hour ahead. Okay, take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, exhale, ha. And then if your knees are extended or your legs are extended, go ahead and bend your knees. And let's just roll off to the left. I'm gonna hang out here a moment. So with the bolster like this, the blanket rolled up like this, kind of just gives a nice little pressure, little massage to that left side, which can feel nice sometimes. Good. Return to your back and then roll off nice and slow to the right. So just feeling that pressure of the blanket on the side ribs there. And then you can just press up a little bit, move the prop out from underneath you, return to your back. And then let's extend our legs to straight, toes point up towards the ceiling. Reach your arms up overhead. So palms face towards each other. Arms are about shoulders distance apart. So body is really active. You're getting this nice long stretch. Let's bring our left fingertips to our right wrist. Pull up on that side and then wiggle the upper body off to the left. Start to walk your legs off to the left. You might not have to go very far. So you want to keep the back side of your body, both hip plates pressing down. And you're going to feel a nice little stretch, lower right waist back area, little side stretch. You might take your right ankle over that left ankle. That will intensify things. So if you go there and it feels like too much, just skip it. I'm just making this little supine half moon shape. Good. Uncross the ankle if you took that variation. Walk your feet back to center. Wiggle your upper body back to center. Stretch out, and then this time point through your toes, which will be a nice stretch in the ankle, the feet. It's kind of the front of the legs. And then right fingertips come to left wrist. Pull up on that left side, get really long. Wiggle your body, upper body off to the right, and then walk legs off to the right. You might not have to go very far. You're making this little C shape with your body, and it can be intense. Keep breathing. Feel both hip plates pressed into the mat, even underneath you. Maybe taking that left ankle above the right, just to intensify things a little bit. Send your breath to this lower left waist. Use the breath to open up, find a little space. Good. Couple more nice deep inhales and exhales. Good. Uncross your left ankle. Walk feet back to center. Wiggle upper body back to center. Then stretch up, release the wrists, and then just point the toes. And then flex the feet. Just kind of going back and forth a few times. Waking up the legs a little bit. And then give your knees a squeeze into your chest. Ooh, feels extra tight in the morning. All right, and then let's just come into a little reclining hip stretch here. So setting up for a reclining pigeon. It's as though you're gonna come into bridge pose. So you're landing with your ankles underneath your knees. Let's take the right ankle, cross it above that left knee, flex the foot a lot, and then just take your right hand, press it into that right thigh. Potentially, if you're already getting a hip stretch without doing that, that's fine as well. But you're just kind of trying to find a little space here. That lower right waist, you're directing that knee forward. If it feels like you still have a little more room here, maybe you start to bend your right or left knee into your chest. Reach your right hand through that triangle you've made. You either interlace fingers around left thigh, depending upon how you're built. If you've long arms like me, maybe you can get your fingertips around that shin. They're both good. And then perhaps wedge that right elbow into that right thigh again. So gently drawing forward. Keep that right ankle flexed or that right foot flexed. Doesn't matter so much what your left foot is doing. Sometimes it likes to flex too when we flex the other one. Good. Take another deep inhale. And then as you exhale, you release there. Uncross that right ankle. And then left ankle crosses above your right knee, flexing the foot. Taking your left hand, just pressing that thigh forward, just to help you find that space. And again, if that feels too intense, just skip it. So there's always lots of places where we can stay or move towards. And it's always a little different every time we get on our mat. So don't think that the pose today has to look like it did last week. Good, stay here. If you want to go a little further, bend that right knee into your chest. Threading fingers behind that right thigh or shin. Gently squeezing that left thigh in and then right thigh in, I'm sorry. And then maybe pressing that left elbow into that outer left thigh, just finding a little more stretch in the hip. What side am I on? Couple more good breaths. Good, deep inhale. As you exhale, release, uncross that left ankle. Give the knees a squeeze. Rock a little bit from side to side. And then if it feels all right on your spine, you can start to roll forward and back. Sometimes that's not so nice. So if that's you today, you just roll off to one side or the other, eventually making your way up to your tabletop. If you're rocking and rolling, you get enough momentum to come forward. And let's start to move into the spine here. So land with your shoulders over wrist, fingers spreading, knees underneath your hips. Feel the belly pull in a little bit here as you inhale, chest extends forward through the gates of the shoulders. As you exhale, you really press the mat away, round in. Try to let the back of the neck lengthen and release. And then continuing like that, maybe your eyes are closed here. So again, the gaze is inward. You're paying attention to the sensations happening in your body. You're paying attention to the breath. You're really linking the movement with the breath. And maybe just doing this, you're feeling a little jolt of energy. It feels really nice to move like this. Kind of starts to wake everything up. Let's do a few more rounds. Good, as you inhale, come back to neutral spine. So you're neither arching nor rounding. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches. Curl your toes under. We're going to keep a bend in our knees as we pull back to our downward facing dog. So you're up high on your tippy toes. Let the ears release even with the biceps, the inner arms. So you're just gazing between your feet. Stretch the sit bones up towards the ceiling a lot. As you exhale, melt your right heel towards the floor any amount. You can still have a pretty big bend in that knee. Good, inhale up to tippy toes. Exhale, melt your left heel towards the floor. So just getting a stretch in the back of the leg, being gentle, being easy starting out here. So we haven't warmed up a ton. And then as you inhale back up to tippy toes on that left foot and then exhale. Release both heels back. You can keep a nice bend in your knees. Doesn't matter if the heels ever make it to the mat. Couple breaths here. Just peek between your hands. Make sure that arms or shoulders distance apart. If you're a little tighter in your shoulders, you can always spin your hands out a little bit. That's going to give you a little more space. And then just finding your dog here, whatever it looks like. Taking a few breaths. Good, we're gonna inhale, shift forward into our plank. We're not gonna hold this super long today, just a couple of breaths. But land with your shoulders over wrists, gaze an inch or two in front of your fingertips. Work the legs a lot. Feel the outer hips, the glutes squeeze in towards each other. Good, come to your knees. As you exhale, start to pass through your modified chaturanga as you land on your belly. Good, lengthen back through all 10 toes. Come to your forehead here. So press into all 10 toenails. Feel the elbow squeeze in. As you do that, the shoulder heads lift. As you inhale, chest extends forward and up. Not a big back bend here. As you exhale, lower. It's just warming up the back of the body. Inhale, lengthen. We're also strengthening these muscles in the back. Good, inhaling up. Exhale, lower down, couple more, inhaling up. As you exhale, you lower. And then inhale up, hold here a couple of breaths. Gaze just soft and gentle out in front of you, front of the neck, back of the neck, just nice and lengthening. So sometimes we can throw the chin way far back, sometimes we tuck it a little bit, split the difference. Check in with your legs again, make sure that they're working, that they're engaged. Good, from here, let's press to our tabletop. Curl our toes under, downward facing dog. And then start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. As you inhale, hands come to shins or thighs. You could have fingertips on the floor. You could have a bend in your knee here, but you're gazing forward. You're lengthening through the sides of your waist. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down to rise up. So arms reach up overhead. Extended mountain pose. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We're going to do a few of those just to start to warm everything up. Inhaling, reaching up. Utthita Hastasana, nice work. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in, really lengthen through the back of your neck. Inhale, chest extends forward. Good, exhale, fold. Pressing down to rise up. Beautiful work, just coordinating the movement with your breath. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, gracefully fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. As you exhale, you fold. Pressing down to rise up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. 3 more on your own, just moving with your breath. So let these feel good. You could even close your eyes here. Sometimes that feels really nice. Kind of just waking up the body. It's going to start to feel really good here. Slowly, you're going to start to feel a greater sense of ease. In these morning practices, sometimes that can take a little longer. Soak up that sound of your breath. It's the best soundtrack. Good. When you're done with your 3rd round, you're just pausing with your palms together at your heart, eyes closed, standing nice and tall. Put your brain down into your feet. Feel those arches lift and engage. Feel that length through the sides of the waist. So vertebrae just stacking on top of each other. Good. And then blink your eyes open. So have your blocks at the top of your mat. If they're not, and just get into the hip flexor a little bit. So these can be nice to have. Before we do that though, let's do a little standing lateral stretch. So from your mountain pose, feet can be together a little further apart, hips distance apart, wherever you feel the most steady. As you inhale, arms reach up. Good. So again, just bring your right fingertips to your left wrist. Pull up, get long on that side. And then as you exhale, lean to the right. Maybe you start to look up underneath that top arm. Maybe you're just gazing slightly forward. Feel these right ribs spin up towards the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades release down your back. So they want to creep up around the ears, soften. And then try to fill up on your breath. Especially that inhale. Nice job, guys. As you inhale, come up to center. And then left fingertips come to your right wrist. Pull up on that side. Anchor into your feet as you exhale. Lean off to the left. The hips shift to the right. Doesn't have to be very deep to get a lot of sensation. So always listening to that, modifying. Doing enough, but not too much. Breath smooth and steady. Good. As you inhale, come on up. And then as we exhale, we hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees. We're going to keep our right foot forward, step our left knee way back. Good. And then land on that knee. You might need to pat it up. Make sure that your right knee is over your right ankle. And then we're going to stretch out this left hip flexor. So if you're a little more flexible there, you're going to slide that left knee back a little further. Most of us probably aren't there. This is a really big, tight muscle in most bodies. So as you can see, I have my hands on blocks here. You can play with the height. So that just serves to bring the floor a little bit closer, kind of takes some of that workout, makes the pose a little more approachable. Keep breathing. Notice if you start to grip those right toes, soften them, press into the four corners of the feet instead. Good, and then let's start to upright ourselves here. So hands come to that right thigh, direct your tailbone down, feel the lower belly pull in and up. As you inhale, arms reach up, low crescent pose. And then as we exhale, hands are gonna come down to the mat. So just slide that right knee back to meet the left. Shift forward here, exhale, lower to halfway, modified chaturanga. And then land on your belly, tops of the feet press as you inhale. Chest extends forward and up, low cobra. As you exhale, press to tabletop, curl toes under, downward facing dog. As you inhale, your left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. You might have to pick it up and move it. Walk it off to the left so you're on train tracks here, feet are hips distance apart, lower onto that right knee. And then again, this side might feel a lot different, so modify as you need to. If you're a little more open, you slide that knee a little further back. For those of us that are getting a lot of sensation here, blocks are really nice. Keep that breath smooth and steady. Keep your jaw, your face soft and gentle. That's hard to do in these intense poses. We kind of want to grind the teeth. Listen to your breath to help you be in the intensity of this pose. Good, and then we're gonna upright ourselves here. So a little low crescent. Inhale, arms reach up. Maybe bring your gaze up, press palms. Nice work. As you exhale, hands return to the mat. Curl right toes under this time. We're gonna step our right foot to meet our left foot at the end of our exhale. Inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhale, root down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So just flowing with the breath with that low crescent pose this time. As you inhale, arms reach. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, left foot stays forward, step the right foot back, land on that knee. Inhale, rise up into that crescent pose, beautiful. Exhale, hands come down, left knee meets right knee. Take an inhale. Exhale, shift forward, lower, halfway pause, and then onto your belly. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, tabletop to downward dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Good, exhale. Step that foot through, land on your left knee. Inhale, arms stretch up. So nice. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Curl, left toes under, step that foot to meet the right foot. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Good, press down to rise up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Take a couple of breaths here, maybe close your eyes, check in, see how you're feeling differently. So things starting to warm up. We might not quite be there yet. Just observing, noticing, and just connecting with your breath. Slowing it down, stretching it out. All right, so let's blink our eyes open here. Release your arms down by your side. Good, start to shift the weight into that left foot. We're gonna come up onto our right toes. Keep squeezing this left hip in, open up that hip. So getting the nice hip opener here, just a little balance pose. You could stay here like this. Maybe you bring that foot to the lower left leg. Might be able to reach down, snuggle that foot a little higher. So the only place we don't want it is on the knee. So if you can't quite get it above, just put it on the lower part of the leg. And then gaze at something in front of you that isn't moving. Start to notice all of the little micro movements happening in that standing foot. So these balance poses are so great for strengthening the feet. Palms together at your heart. Feel this openness across your heart and chest. And then you really feel the leg and the foot coming into the midline so they're pressing against each other equally. Fantastic. These look really nice. Start to stretch the arms up. Maybe bring your gaze up. Breath smooth and steady. You can sometimes hold the breath here in these balance poses. Keep it moving. If you fall out, it's no big deal. It's how we get good at these. And then as we exhale, hands come to heart center. Release that side. You can give the legs a little walk out there. And then finding your mountain pose, rooting into that right foot. Feel that outer right hip squeeze in. Come up onto those left toes. Find the hip opening. So this is the pose. This counts. This might be where you stay. It's a good place to start if you're newer to yoga. All right. Maybe you bring that foot to the lower leg. Maybe you've done this a little while, so you can bring that foot higher. Leg and foot press into the midline against each other. So everything's coming towards the center. Palms at your heart. Breath smooth and steady. Gaze smooth and steady. Noticing all of the tiny little micro movements happening in that standing foot. Good. Start to stretch your arms up. Imagine that somebody's gently pulling you up by your wrist so you're getting a little taller. And then maybe you start to bring your gaze up. That's definitely going to challenge the balance a little bit. That's a good thing. If the ceiling that you're looking at is a little taller too, that makes it a little trickier. Doing this outside is almost impossible. All right, nice work. Beautiful focus as we exhale, hands come to heart center. Hi, Susie. Give the legs a little walk out. Okay, so again, blocks at the top of the mat. So we're going to get into some of our hip opening standing poses. So at the top of your mat, coming into your Tadasana, big toes together, heels slightly apart, or your feet or hips distance. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left foot. Quick little inhale here in our plank. And then as we exhale, come to knees, bend elbows, pause at halfway, and then land on your belly. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, press to your tabletop. Curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. As we inhale, we're going to lift our right leg, keeping hips even, those toes point down. Exhale, step that foot through, and then just stay on your fingertips here. Heel toe this right foot to the left twice, and then spin into the back edge of that left foot. So we're checking for our right heel to intersect our left arch. And this left hip is releasing down, but we're feeling this hip opening. So you can even start to press this right knee back before we even come up. Inhale, strong legs, take you into your Virabhadrasana 2. Good, and then just flowing here a little bit as you inhale, press to the inner edge of that right foot, start to straighten that leg, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, sink in, so just kind of warming up this big muscle here. Inhale up. As you exhale, sink in. Let's do one more. Inhale up, really seal into the back edge of that left foot. And then as you exhale in, just bring your gaze out over those right fingertips. So our hips are not facing the same direction. Our torso is facing forward though, even though we're gazing out over those right fingertips. Start to spin your left palm to face up. As you inhale, keep the legs exactly the same, but find your reverse warrior. Inhale, press right leg to straight again. Good. Exhale, bend that knee. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 2. Good, and then as we exhale, we're gonna hinge forward at that right hip. So you're gonna bring your elbow to your knee, or maybe you take a block behind the foot, which is really nice, and then you can seal this knee into your arm. Stretch left arm up, so let's start with shoulders stacking on top of each other. So lengthening through both sides of your waist, feel those right ribs wrap up towards the ceiling. Deep inhale here. As you exhale, stretch your left arm up and over so you get that long line of energy, really seal into the back edge of that left foot. One more inhale carries us in to our Virabhadrasana 2. Nice work. Oh, feeling this. As you exhale, windmill arms up and over. All right, so spin onto those left toes and let's pull back to our downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. As you inhale, your left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through and then heel toe that foot twice to the right, spin into the back edge of your right foot. Left heel is intersecting that right arch. Press into the back edge of that right foot. Nice deep bend in this left knee. Inhale, windmill arms up and over, Virabhadrasana 2. Big hip opener in this front leg. All right, so as we inhale, we straighten that leg. And as we exhale, we sink in. Good, few more. Inhale, really press to the inner edge of that front foot. And exhale, come on in. Good, inhale, press up. Exhale in, I think we got one more. Might have given us an extra on this side. Inhale up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, sink in. Couple breaths here. Virabhadrasana 2, gazes out over those left fingertips. You're pressing that left knee back behind you. You're squaring your torso to the long edge of the mat and you're making sure that you're not hinging forward. All right, spin your right palm to face up towards the ceiling. I'm sorry, spin your left palm to face up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, reach that arm up and over. Good. And then let's inhale, press left leg to straight. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 2. And then exhale, you're gonna hinge forward at this left waist. Elbow to that knee or hand to block, any height on that block. Couple breaths here. Shoulders just stacking on top of each other. So it's like triangle pose in our upper body. Lengthen through that left side of the waist on the inhale. Exhale, wrap those left ribs up towards the ceiling. And then spin that right palm to face forward. Reach that arm up and over. Press more into the back edge of that right foot. Bend a little more into that left knee. You're going to feel that outer left hip, that glute gripping. All right, here we go. We inhale, come up to Virabhadrasana 2. As you exhale, windmill arms up and over. Spin onto those left toes. Step back, downward dog, and then a quick little child's pose here. So big toes together, knees apart. Melt your hips back. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. So in this downward dog, just shift your hips off to the left and then walk your arms off to the right. It's another kind of little lateral stretch. You're going to feel this nice stretch through that left side, lower left waist. Good. Hands come back to center. Hips come back to center. And then just shift the hips off to the right a tiny amount. Walk your hands off to the left. Good. Arms come back to center, hips come back to center. Couple more breaths here. Really lengthen back through your sit bones. And then melt the chest forward. And then let's slowly start to roll on up here. We're going to come to a seat. So you can just cross the ankles in front of you and then sit back. So we're going to get into the hips a little more here. So this is going to be our seated pigeon stretch. And as we come into this, if this isn't working for you, you can do the reclining pigeon that we did at the beginning of class again. So legs, feet are slightly in front of you. You're on the center of your sit bones. You're lengthening nice and tall through the sides of the waist. So the tendency sometimes here is to rock back and start to round. So keep lots of height. Maybe that means you need to bring your feet further forward. Good. And then the same thing that we did earlier, we're going to just take our right ankle and we're going to cross it above our left knee. So again, if you're tighter, this left foot further is going to give you a little more room. Again, you could also just come onto your back and do that reclining pigeon stretch. Flex this right foot. Maybe take your right hand into that thigh, gently press forward a little bit. It's kind of forward and down. You could also just be on your fingertips here behind you. And again, that's kind of nice. It helps to give you a little height, a little length. So if you feel like you could get into this a little deeper, go ahead and scoot your hips closer towards that left heel. Don't do that at the expense of rounding in the upper body though. So keep lots of length here. And then breathing. So these long held static stretches where we're getting into these really tight places, it's intense to be here. So sometimes we start to hold the breath, keep it moving. So you have a couple breaths here. If you want to play with going a little further, maybe you can cradle that right leg with your arms and then extend that left leg to straight. So this is kind of like a seated version of our single pigeon. You also might fork lift this leg here and then kind of just press using the strength of your arms, press that shin in towards your chest. You could even go side to side a little bit. You could be doing the side to side too if you're cradling the leg. We call this rocking the baby. The good news is that I'm not going to make you put this knee up over your shoulder today. We're not going there. It's too early. Too soon. All right. So if you have this left leg extended, you're going to bend it back in. Give yourself a little room here. Uncross that right ankle. Just take a couple of breaths and we're going to do the other side. So this side might be different. If it's your tighter side and doing the seated version of the pigeon pose isn't working, you're just going to lay down onto your back and do your reclining pigeon, which looks basically the same. This seated version is just a little more intensity, a little more stretch. So cross that left ankle above your right knee, flex the foot. Maybe take your hand into that thigh, press forward. You can just be on fingertips. You could even have hands on blocks. Anything to help you keep this length in your spine. And then that breath is smooth and steady. Have you lost the breath because this is intense? Are you holding it? Are you clenching your face, your jaw? Soften there. And then if you'd like to sneak in a little further, you're welcome to do that. You can always play with going there and then, assess. Is this a good place for me to be? Have I lost something in the pose? Is it better to go to the place that I was before? Always noticing and asking and making little adjustments. It's hard to do, I think. It's especially hard to back out. There's a lot of wisdom in being able to do that. Being able to modify. Okay, so just stay here like this. If you want to, either rock here, extend that right leg. If you're extending the right leg, keep it really active. Maybe you take that forklift. Some of this has to do not only with flexibility, but also with how you're built. So I have monkey arms. I make this look really easy. That's just anatomically part of how I'm built. So it might not be happening in your body. That's okay. Couple more good breaths here. And even though this is intense, hopefully through the course of moving throughout an hour, through stretching things out, especially the hips, there is, this feels easier than it did at the beginning of class. Not always true, but hopefully. Good. So if that right leg was extended, bend that knee. Reach your fingertips behind you and then scoot your hips back. Uncross here. Good. And then just give your legs a little shake out. We're going to come into the forward fold version now. So if you're on your back, go ahead and come up to a nice seat. This is a really great place if you know that you tend to be tighter in the hips and it's hard to sit tall. Grab a blanket or a block, sit up on that. We're going to cross our right shin in front of our left shin. You're going to gently flex the feet a little bit. So you're rooting down into your sit bones. All of this length that we just had in the previous pose, we're going to hold on to that, but we're going to take this into a forward fold. For those of you with a little more flexibility in the hips, if you are able to stack your shins on top of each other, you can do this version of double pigeon as well. So they're both good. And then maybe you'll want some blocks in front of you. That's great if you're a little tighter. So we inhale, stretch up, and then exhale, hinge forward. So if you're a little tighter, just having the blocks for your hands can be really nice. It helps you to keep this length through the spine. If you're a little more flexible and you're getting close to the floor, the block can be nice, a little support for your forehead. Right away, dip into your breath. And at this stage of the game, you've probably noticed that the breath is shifting. So the inhale might be getting a little longer in your body. The exhale is stretching out. And we're going to be here for a couple of minutes today. So back out if you need to. If it feels like you've gone too deep, back out. We have some time to melt in here.
If the chatter is kicking up a lot for you inside the brain, if you're getting distracted by things happening in the room around you, maybe start to count the breath. Just give your brain a little something to chew on. So inhaling to 5 or 6 or 7, pausing for a moment at the top of the breath, and then exhaling to 5 or 6 or 7. And then starting that process again, just pausing a little bit at the bottom. Probably got about 5 or 6 more breaths here. So assess, do you need to back out? Can you melt in a little further? Just notice and adjust. Good. As you inhale, you're going to slowly come on up. Extend your legs to straight. Good. Give them a little shake. And then we take the second side, which might be different. So crossing left shin in front of right, maybe stacking shins if that's accessible in your body. So if your knee is way up, probably better to just cross or sit up on more height. Good. Root down into your sit bones. Arms reach out and up. Good. And then as you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Using any props that you need. Observing right away how this side feels different in your body. And then just following that rhythm of your breath, that sound of your breath. Another minute here. So make any adjustments that you need to. Good. As you inhale, start to roll on up, and we're going to come into one final little forward fold here. So we're going to extend our legs to straight. So didn't do tons to get into the hamstrings here today. So you might want to keep a little bend in your knees, feet hips distance apart. Just kind of take some of the work out of that muscle. Root down into your sit bones. Inhale, arms reach out and up. And then as you exhale, lengthen forward, and hands can rest on thighs, shins. Maybe you're grabbing the outer edges of your feet. You could be using a strap here around your feet. That's also really nice if the hamstrings, the back is tight. Good. And then just plop in here. So make it ugly. Knees can bend, toes can turn out. Let the head hang. And this kind of stretches into some different places. It's kind of interesting. Can actually be really intense. And then you slowly start to roll on up. We come onto our backs, hug our knees into our chest there. Setting up for a final resting pose. Shavasana. Maybe you want to take that roll up that we had at the beginning of class and just place it underneath your knees just to give yourself a little support. That can often feel really nice. You can come into a classic Shavasana. So just play around. See what you need here. And then just commit to soaking up these final quiet moments. It's really important that we give ourselves these breaks. Shavasana. Take a deeper inhale. Sigh the breath out as you exhale. Ha. Just start to bring a little movement back to your body. Wiggle fingers, toes, stretch out. And just keeping your eyes closed. Roll off to one side or the other. Find the fetal position. Pause there a moment. And then you're going to use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. So we've been here too. Just observe the space you've created in your body. Just notice how you're sitting a little taller. There's more space for the breath to move. And then just check in with your headspace. Notice what's shifted there. So hopefully you're feeling a little calmer, more focused, peaceful, maybe even a little happy. So soak all of that up. Send yourself love and gratitude for making it happen, for showing up. And finally, just promise yourself that you're going to carry a little of this feeling with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend and ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile.